The North Pole doesn't exist. That's right. If you open up Google Earth right now and try to find the massive ice cap in the very tip of the northern hemisphere, you'll just find water. Here's Greenland and Iceland, but that's it. There's no ice cap. Where did it go? Where is the North Pole? Many people who use Google Earth remember being able to see the ice cap in the North Pole, but are surprised to not find them anywhere when revisiting the virtual globe. The weirdest thing just happened to me. So I was discussing with my friend how I remember the North Pole being a landmass on a map and how it's a Mandela effect because it actually never was. I then found a picture on Google that illustrated my point. It showed the North Pole as a landmass. I shit you not, as I turned my phone around to show him the picture, it changed. The landmass disappeared from the map right in front of my eyes, and now I can't find the original photo. I have absolutely no explanation for this other than the Matrix is absolutely f***ing with me right now. The simple explanation is that it was never there to begin with. What we refer to as the North Pole is not a stable set of landmass covered in ice, but it rather changes in size and location throughout time, which may be the reason why Google Earth doesn't include it, as well as some physical globes, unlike Antarctica, which is an actual landmass, though it changes in shape due to other reasons though. For me, the problem is not whether or not it's solid. I remember old world maps as showing the Arctic ice cap, the same way they show the Antarctic, rather than having to look up specific maps like your examples. Now, all the world maps I can find don't show the Arctic ice spread out over the other continents. Basically, the maps I remember seeing when I was in school and up until last fall all had the countries sandwiched between two areas for the Arctic and Antarctic, at the top and bottom. Also, the Arctic area is much smaller in general, and it looks like all the other continents have shifted slightly north, filling in some of the space that used to be the Arctic. Another explanation is that some maps or globes may have contained an outline or an example of the changing northern polar ice caps that, of course, weren't accurate, but they portrayed them for the sake of education, explaining why some remember the North Pole always being in maps since childhood. In the song Boom Pow by the Black Eyed Peas, Fergie has one line that many remember differently, including me, and I personally remember watching this music video multiple times on television. Right after will.i.am's verse, she begins hers, and then states, "I'm so 2008, you're so 2000 and late." This is an iconic part of the song that many claim to remember by heart, so this has to be the correct lyrics, right? These are the actual lyrics. "I'm so 3008, you're so 2000 and late." 3008? Some claim that the reason she did this is to keep the song relevant to the time it was listened to. Say for instance she did say 2008, that would have aged poorly as opposed to saying 3008, which is a far time from now, relative to our human lifespans of course. Wait, what? Yeah, this is weird. I distinctly remember hearing that song sometime in 2008. It could have come out before then though, and wondering if they'd performed the song in later years when that line wouldn't make any sense. I definitely remember hearing it before 2009 too. This video is sponsored by Raycon. These earbuds are great and really affordable, saving me from having to deal with the hassle of always having to push bad earbuds back into my ears. These stay on perfectly for when I'm out running or walking in nature. Raycon doesn't outsource the design and development of their earbuds, leading to a quality product that you can see for yourself. They offer buy now, pay later options, allowing you to pay as low as $18 at checkout. They also offer free domestic shipping or can ship internationally flat fee too. You can even get two and still pay less than big tech brands. My favorite bonus feature is the awareness mode. When I need to speak to someone urgently, I simply hold R for 3 seconds and it allows me to listen to my surroundings. They also offer 8 hours of playtime, plus the charging case holds up to 32 hours of battery. I don't ever have to worry about constantly recharging them. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/bookofalice to get 15% off your Raycon purchase. It helps support the channel. And thanks to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Push pops. Those are the names for the ice cream treat things in the tubes that you would push out and eat. They are actually labeled as push up. Yes, a push up, not a push pop. Go ahead and search it up yourself. I myself was pretty puzzled when I saw that it was push up. Tinkerbell intro updates. This entry has made its rounds online multiple times, with people trying to debunk it, claiming that they are confusing it with the menu screen for Disney's DVDs, though some argue that they vividly remember it being the intro to many popular Disney films. Now, the Mandela effect in question covers a scene where the Disney logo is over the iconic bright blue background. Tinkerbell then comes flying across the screen and uses her wand to create the halo behind the castle and proceeds to dot the letter I on Disney's logo. But when rewatching the blue iconic Disney intro, Tinkerbell is nowhere to be found. The arch behind them is made automatically without the character appearing. The strange thing is that there are tons of intros that are similar to what people are describing.
This Disney DVD is enhanced with Disney's Fast Play.
There's also a strange one, where there's only a flying white dot that creates the Disney logo. Here's an exact recreation that was not created by Disney, but was animated by ROM30 VFX. Remember, this doesn't exist. This is simply a recreation based off multiple accounts of Mandela effect believers. Commenters state it was a little different for each movie. Sometimes her wand would work and other times she had to get it working. She never looked at the audience like that though. She would just giggle and fly off. I was born in 2002 and this is the version I remember. Granted, Disney has many different intros. This one and her getting the wand to work are the ones I remember. Tinkerbell was and forever will be in my top favorite characters. The fact that they're saying it never existed makes me feel as though my childhood was a lie. I grew up on VHS and eventually it transferred to DVD. Sex and the City. Here's a classic. Many remember this nostalgic 2000s show being titled Sex and the City, as a majority referred to the show by that title. Even award shows would call it by that name. All this only to find out that it's actually titled Sex and the City, not in. Although many people have merch and other things that title it as Sex and the City. Are these pieces of residue from another timeline, or is it just a bootleg copy that some guy messed up on? The simple explanation is that we may just have slurred the word and to the point that it sounded like in. And in. If you see it 10 times fast, you're bound to mess up. It's pretty hard, but that's just one explanation. There are also pop culture references to the name of the show, including Futurama and Family Guy.
Me neither. Now Sex and the City? That's funny.
This is Michael Patrick King's first draft of the Sex and the City movie.
This next one covers the artist Tyler the Creator, and specifically his name. Some fans don't remember Tyler the Creator's full name containing a comma after the name Tyler, though if you go search him up on Google, it appears with the comma as well as his Spotify and other music platforms. I personally always remember it being there though. Another Mandela effect pertaining to him as well comes from his album Igor and its cover art. Many remember Tyler being shirtless in the cover art, but if you go back and look at it, he's wearing a black shirt, which many find off. Could it be that it's simply blended in and people are simply noticing the effect after a while? I don't know. How do you guys recall it being? Was he sporting a shirt or was he shirtless? Hi y'all, writing from the UK, and I want to tell you about what I can only describe as a timeline change that happened to me in real time about a week ago. If this isn't a Mandela effect, I do not know what it is. About a week ago, my 4-year-old daughter was watching a kids television show called Tempo on BBC iPlayer. It was a basic CGI fest with anthropomorphic animals. Apparently, if I recall correctly, something to do with fixing vehicles. I walked in and saw this show with my own eyes on her television in her room. She had told me what it was, and thinking the title was odd, I pressed the button on my remote to bring up the details, progress bar, name, options, etc. Sure enough, the show is called Tempo. Anyway, the next day she asks if I could put it on her TV because she wanted to chill in her room and just watch it. I say sure, run up to it and put it on, and guess what? No Tempo. Not on iPlayer, not on YouTube. I googled it and absolutely nothing, except for some 1960s live action stuff. Me and her mom spent an age googling it and asking my daughter what she could recall. On top of what I had already seen of the show, we both remember it, we both saw it, and my daughter is disappointed that it has gone. Except it hasn't just gone. The damn thing never existed, except it did a week ago. Not the first time a Mandela effect happened to me in real time, but really gave me a chill. Stranger Things. The show follows the residents of a small town in 1980s Indiana, where they are plagued by a hostile alternate dimension known as the Upside Down, after a nearby human experimentation facility opens a gateway between the Upside Down and the normal world. Starring actress Millie Bobby Brown and actors Finn Wolfhard and Noah Schnapp, who have gained massive popularity online. Now, the creator of the series, the Duffer Brothers, are known to digitally alter things after an episode's completion in order to fix plot holes and mistakes, but claim that they've never changed the stories. They have also declined to say how many episodes they've altered and the reasons behind them. Though obviously you can compare the episodes from the digital version to the physical copies and notice the differences, as they admit themselves. This is all pertaining to season 4 and the seasons before that. So the episode in question is titled The Weirdo on Maple Street, where they claim a scene has changed. Nancy and Barb go over to Steve's, where they, specifically Nancy and Steve, start making out, totally third-wheeling Barb. So she waits by the pool, while someone decides to creep on her with a camera. This guy's name is Jonathan. He then looks up towards the house to find Nancy undressing, getting ready to get with Steve, so he takes a pic of her in that vulnerable state. What if I told you that scene never occurred? Many people online swear this was real, but was simply edited out because of cancel culture and to make Netflix not look bad, basically to save face. But the showrunners have publicly stated that they've never altered that scene in the show. What actually takes place then? Well, he simply looks towards Nancy's direction, but then goes back to taking pictures of Barb, dipping her feet in the pool. Even articles chalk this up to censorship editing, bashing the practice and the show. Though they were later corrected by the creators, they were told that the scene in question never existed in the first place. Do any of you guys remember Jonathan taking a picture of Nancy getting undressed? Or was it simply a stare and then back to pictures of Barb in the pool? Pink Bunny Battery. Think about that, Pink Bunny Battery. When I say that, what brand comes into mind? Energizer, right? That bunny is rocking some shades and bangs on a drum as it walks. This is a classic brand mascot that many remember from old commercials. Some are straight up nightmare fuel though. Look at this thing, it's got soul-piercing eyes. Well, some are confused to find that Duracell, its competitor, also has a pink bunny mascot that is powered by the brand's battery. The mascot was even created before the Energizer bunny in 1973. The copyright had expired for a while, leaving Energizer to create a parody of the mascot, which was followed by a legal dispute between the two. Do any of you guys remember Duracell having a bunny as its mascot as well, or was it simply just the Energizer bunny that existed? Let me know in the comments. What if this is an experiment? I had a thought. What if Mandela effects are part of an experiment being performed? So they started with changing small minor things like logos, and now they are changing bigger things like anatomy, geography, history. And the premise of the experiment could be about whether or not we believe our memories or are easily manipulated by the new information. Like, can we hold on to our truth, or would we just go like, yeah, I guess if that's what the wiki says, then sure, just wild how a million people thought otherwise. Like taking a lab rat and changing the maze and information. Airplanes are now different. So this is an effect covering the build of modern airplanes and how they have possibly changed. A group of people in the Mandela effect community started to point out that new passenger jets had massive engines that somehow looked like they were too far forward on the wing, almost popping out. From what they remembered in their timeline, it was much farther back. They recalled the engine being a bit smaller and more in the center middle of the wing. Here's the interesting update on that, coming from Reddit user Epic Journeyman, explaining how the Mandela effect community may have stumbled on a massive airplane fault. It turns out the Mandela effect community noticed the flaw with the Boeing 737 MAX, and possibly other passenger jets, before it was made known publicly. The jet engines really are too far forward. An article was published by Forbes yesterday that explains that the likely reason for the two recent crashes of Boeing 737 was that the decision was made to use larger engines that required them to move much farther forward and depend on a computer flight assistant system to keep the plane from stalling by nudging the nose downward independent of pilot control. An MIT expert raised the question in mind of whether Boeing's fundamental design mistake was the size and placement of the 737 MAX engine. This line from the article raises the point that so many people have reported as an effect. The jet engines were never this far forward on passenger jets before. It would have never been an issue at all if the information explaining why and when this change to aircraft design was made had been more rapidly available. I propose that this information was deliberately buried and made difficult to obtain by people not involved in the design because Boeing and other companies did not want conjecture and public debate to create quote-unquote bad press that may hurt their profits or slow production down. These planes carrying passengers traditionally would have sacrificed performance for safety and would have chosen the ability to have as much control of the plane in the event of engine/power loss over fuel economy and powered performance. This may really have been a case of industry keeping the wraps on information they didn't want to go to the public. Edit. For those who don't know, the location of jet engines on passenger jets was a hot topic last year in the Mandela Effect community and was even voted the Mandela Effect of the Year for 2018. Let me read you this quote from the Forbes article referenced. Boeing engineers found that under certain conditions, the 737 MAX's engines, which are larger and located higher and closer to the front, boost the chances that the aircraft would tilt upward too steeply, causing the plane to stall. This is great news. It means that the Mandela Effect community can help unmasking corporate failures and cover-ups. The point here is not proving that the Mandela Effects are real or that the Matrix exists. The point is checking out our doubts and finding the truth. Let's call ourselves the Wardens, Memory Police. Don't mess with our memories. We're watching y'all. And those are 10 crazy but interesting Mandela effects. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to the channel. Other than that, I love you guys all and thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.